Hello and welcome to Flying Start, the onboarding program for new members of the Toastmasters Club of Singapore. First off, a very, very warm welcome to TMCS. We're so glad that you've chosen this club to start your Toastmasters journey with. Let me introduce myself. My name is Adeline Ng, and I'm the club president for the term 2022-23. And Flying Start has been put together by our VPs of Education, Jyoti, Max, Marcel, and Grishma. Today, we'll get you off to a flying start using the analogy of a plane ready for takeoff. So here's what we'll cover in this onboarding. First, we'll go over who's on board, introducing to the key people in Toastmasters. Next, we'll talk about the plane that you've chosen to fly in, about Toastmasters, the mission of this wonderful organization, what goes on in a meeting, and even share with you some of the acronyms that you'll be hearing a lot of. We'll introduce you to your co-pilot, in this case, your mentor, who will be your key point of contact and your guide in the first few months of your Toastmasters journey. And finally, we'll get you ready with your flight plan, introducing you to Toastmasters education program called Pathways and preparing you for your first speech, which we call Icebreakers. And with all that, you'll be ready for takeoff. Let me talk a little bit about the Toastmasters Club of Singapore, because we're a very, very special club. We were founded 55 years ago today in 1967 by Ling Li Hua, competent Toastmaster, who was actually a rubber tapper who wanted to improve his English and ended up being president of the Toastmasters Club of Singapore. We are the oldest surviving Toastmasters club here, as well as one of the largest English language clubs, and in fact, the largest public English language club here in Singapore. We host over 40 meetings a year, both regular chapter meetings, of which we have about 3 to 4 a month, as well as special meetings such as contests, workshops, and lots of parties and social events. Some of the things that TMCS is best known for: that large stage that you see right there, which gives you a chance to practice speaking to an audience from a stage. We're known for our quality of our speakers and evaluators. In fact, we have the most numbers of distinguished Toastmasters of any club here in Singapore. We even have many contest winners at the district and above level, including a former world champion of public speaking. And finally, we're known for our diversity of members who come from all countries, as well as all backgrounds and all ages and genders. So what goes on in a typical TMCS meeting? We host meetings the first 3 Mondays of every month, and in months when there are 5 Mondays, we'll have a 4th meeting as well. A typical chapter meeting agenda runs for 3 hours from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock and consists of 3 parts. The first part are prepared speeches, where members stand up to do a prepared speech, typically lasting between 5 to 7 minutes in length. The next part is table topics or impromptu speaking, and this is open to everyone, both members and guests. Go on stage, you'll be given a topic and speak on it for 1 to 2 minutes. It's a great way to practice being put on the spot with an unfamiliar topic. And the third part of the evening is evaluations. This is where experienced Toastmasters will give feedback to the prepared speakers on what they did well and what they can improve on. Now, meetings are not just all that we do here at TMCS. We often also meet with other clubs and have joint meetings, so we have a broader exposure to different speakers and evaluators. We also have a lot of themed meetings and Halloween, for example, Halloween, Chinese New Year, and various celebrations. We have contests, at least 3 or 4 contests a year, including the International Speech Contest, which is the prepared speech contest, as well as table topics and evaluation contests. We also host many workshops, both by our own members as well as by guest Toastmasters from outside. We take part in many events outside the club, both at the national level as well as international level, giving you an opportunity to meet with Toastmasters from all around the world. And finally, we have lots of social activities ranging from dinners to parties to hiking, bowling, overseas trips. So lots of chances for you to meet the other wonderful members of TMCS. Let's also talk a little bit about Toastmasters International, because when you join Toastmasters, you don't just become a member of TMCS, you also become a member of the broader Toastmasters family. And this is a huge family. So Toastmasters International, or TI, was founded almost 100 years ago in 1924. Worldwide, over 300,000 members belonging to 16,000 clubs. And even right here in Singapore, we have over 5,000 members from 200 over clubs. And at the club level, it's all volunteer run. So everyone you meet at Toastmasters is a volunteer, including the executive committee. Now, Toastmasters' slogan, interestingly enough, is not about public speaking, but it's where leaders are made. And as you continue in your journey, you'll discover the close link between being able to communicate well as a public speaker and leadership, because it goes both ways. Leaders are great public speakers and communicators, and just as great public speakers and communicators are often called upon to be leaders. So as you start on your journey, don't just start thinking about public speaking, but also think about how you can use that to serve and improve your leadership skills. One other thing I'd like to share with you is how Toastmasters is set up, and you come across this very often, and it's often confusing for new Toastmasters to hear some of these terms. So let me go through some of the organizational structure of Toastmasters. So we start at the club level, and TMCS is one of the clubs of 200 clubs here in Singapore, and our club number is 357. Now, we also belong to an area, which is a grouping of 4 to 6 clubs. And here we belong to Area 4 within Division U. And Division U is, again, itself a collection of 4 to 6 areas. So you often hear that TMCS is part of U4. Now, all the divisions roll up to a district. And here, district covers all of Singapore, which is District 80. Above district, you'll have the region. We are part of a collection of various countries in the Southeast Asia and Asia region. And finally, that goes all the way to the International Toastmasters organization. Where the organizational structure is helpful is in 2 areas. The first is when you start taking part in contests, and while that may seem very far away for you right now as a new Toastmaster, in about a year, you may want to start thinking about taking part in contests and challenging yourself to pick up new skills. So the way a contest works is exactly as you see on the screen. It starts at the club level. The winner then progresses to the area level. The winner of that then progresses to the division level, and all the way up to the international level for the international speech contest. The other part where you'll hear the org structure come into play is in leadership roles. So you hear of people taking on leadership roles at the club level, such as the club president, the club VPs of education, membership, and so on. There are also leadership roles at the area level. So we have the area director. We also have the division level, the division director, the district level, district director, and so on. So as you progress in Toastmasters, do think about how you can give back by taking on leadership roles at different levels of the organization. Now, let's get into Toastmasters acronym, because like any other organization, you'll hear lots and lots of these acronyms, and it will be confusing for a while. So let's start with acronyms related to meeting roles. So here in a meeting, these are the roles that are typically in a chapter meeting. And all these roles are volunteer-based, which means that you can volunteer for these roles. The first meeting role that you hear about is the SAA, or Sergeant at Arms. And this is the role that's in charge of planning the logistics of the meeting. So they'll help set up the room, they'll help kick the meeting off by sharing some of the basic information, and they'll also help with things like slides, as well as voting for the best speaker at the end of the evening. The next role is the TME, or the Toastmaster of the evening. Sometimes this is called the TMOD, Toastmaster of the day, if the meetings are held in the day. And this is basically the MC of the meeting. So this is the person who kicks the meeting off and will be the host throughout the meeting. And this is a wonderful role for you to practice hosting a meeting and leading a meeting as an MC. The next role is a timer. Here at Toastmasters, everything is carefully timed, both speeches, table topics, and various segments. So the timer is in charge of making sure that we stay on track. The timer will have a timing device that will flash green, yellow, and red to show the speaker how much time he or she has remaining. And that way you can plan accordingly. The next role is an R counter. An R counter counts R's, or what we call pause fillers. Pause fillers are things that we use very often, such as you know, oh, you get it, okay. All these words that we like to use whenever we're unsure of what to say, and which Toastmasters frowns upon because they take away from our credibility as speakers. So in every meeting, we have an R counter who counts all these pause fillers by the speakers, and at the end of the meeting, the R counter will share his or her report so that we become more aware of when we use these R's and 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 all that. The next role is TTM, or Table Topics Master. Table topics, if you recall, is the impromptu speaking part of the evening, and the Table Topics Master is in charge of leading that part of the evening. So he or she will come up with topics that you pose to the speakers during the Table Topics segment. Finally, we have the evaluators, also known as speech or project evaluators, and these are the people who will evaluate the prepared speeches that are presented during the evening. In some meetings, we also have a language evaluator, or LE, sometimes also called a grammarian, and the language evaluator listens out for how we use language. And this is a wonderful way to learn about how you can use descriptive language, how you can use metaphors, similes, and many other what we call rhetorical devices to make your speeches much more colorful and much more compelling. So those are the acronyms related to meeting roles. Next, we have the acronyms related to leadership roles. And most of these leadership roles are the EXCO, or Executive Committee, which is elected every July. So here are the roles in the EXCO: the president, then what we call the VPE, or the VP of Education, who takes care of all the educational needs of our members, including tracking when you do your speeches, helping you to get speech slots, and matching you with a mentor, helping you to get opportunities to speak outside our club, anything related to the educational experience at Toastmasters, our VPEs are in charge of. We also have the VPMs, and you probably got to know our VPMs because they are the ones who connect with with potential members and share with you about our membership, and throughout your journey, anything related to your membership, approach our VPMs. Then we have our VPPRs, or Vice Presidents of Public Relations, and they're in charge of promoting our clubs. So they maintain our website, our social media presence, they help with creating posters and publicity for all our events. So anything to do with the public face of our club, that's our VPPRs. Our SAAs, as we mentioned, are in charge of the logistics relating to every meeting, and they also take care of the assets of the club, such as our computer, our projector, and various devices that we have to make our meetings run smoothly. We also have our treasurer, who's in charge of our money, and our secretary, who takes care of all our official records. Some other roles are the IPP, or Immediate Past President, which was the president from the previous term. We also have the directors at the area level, also known as the AD, at the division level, known as the DivD, and the district level, known as the DD. So here are some of the common leadership roles that you hear about. Finally, you'll hear some other acronyms bandied about. The first is DTM, or Distinguished Toastmaster. DTM is the highest individual title that a Toastmaster can gain. And when you meet various criteria relating to your educational journey, as well as your leadership roles, you can attain the role of Distinguished Toastmaster. As mentioned before, here at TMCS, we have the largest number of DTMs for amongst clubs in Singapore. At any time, we'll have between 5 to 10 Toastmasters who have earned the DTM recognition. And what that means is that after your name, you can put your name, comma, title, DTM. You also hear some of these other terms, and they tend to be associated with members who have been around a while, because they are from members who joined prior to more than 4 years ago and who earned their qualifications under the pre-pathways educational system. I won't go into a lot of detail, but if you see some of these, CTM, Competent Toastmaster, CC, Competent Communicator, CL, Competent Leader, ACB, Advanced Communicator, Bronze, as well as Silver and Gold, and ALBNS, Advanced Leadership, Bronze and Silver. These are old titles, legacy titles from members who have been around more than 4 years ago. For members who are newer, such as yourself, as you complete various educational levels, you will then earn a title, and the title will be made up of 2 parts. The first part will be the pathway that you've chosen, and I'll come to that in a while. The pathway plus the completed level, and there are 5 levels within each pathway. So for example, if you're on the Presentation Mastery pathway, which is the acronym PM, and you've completed 3 levels, then your title will be your name, comma, PM3. Finally, you'll hear pathways, which is sometimes abbreviated to PW. That is the educational program for Toastmasters that all of us go on. And it's related to that is Basecamp. Basecamp is the software on which pathways is delivered. So you log into Basecamp to get access to the pathways learning materials. We tend to use pathways and Basecamp interchangeably, but officially pathways is the educational program and Basecamp is the software on which the program is hosted. Okay, let's switch gears a little and talk about mentors who are your co-pilots. So here at Toastmasters, mentoring is a cornerstone of your Toastmasters experience. It's not compulsory, but if you would like, you can request a mentor and you should approach our mentor contact, which for this term is VPE Jyoti Rangan. So you can contact Jyoti and say, I would like to have a mentor. Typically, mentors are assigned for the first 4 to 6 months until you feel confident enough on navigating the system and knowing what to do in order to book your speeches, how a speech is structured, and any other newbie questions that you have. It's not a hard rule, but typically after 4 to 6 months, you're confident enough to stand on your own and you'll find that you have less need for your mentor. Having said that, you have an official mentor, but also feel free to reach out to any experienced Toastmaster, both within the club and outside. You'll find that Toastmasters are extremely willing to help you with any questions, and they don't have to be your official mentor for you to approach them. Okay? Now, do note that it is your responsibility to reach out. So once you have a mentor assigned, or once you've requested for a mentor from Jyoti, she will typically suggest several mentors that you might want to consider based on your goals. For example, whether you're looking to improve public speaking so that you can launch a career as a public speaker and trainer, which some of our members do want to do, or maybe you want to practice speaking on stage, or maybe you want to practice your humor, various goals that you have. Jyoti can recommend who might be some mentors that would be appropriate for you. And once she has suggested them, do reach out to those mentors, set up a meeting, talk to them, and see whether you have chemistry. And feel free to talk to several mentors before deciding if that's the right mentor for you. Now, do remember that mentors are volunteers as well. So many of us have full-time jobs. Many of us have other responsibilities, including leadership responsibilities in the club and beyond. And so please do respect our mentors' time. Do come prepared for your sessions. Do try and treat whatever they share with you with respect and apply that in your speech. So do make the most out of your mentoring experience and your mentorship relationship by treating them how you would like to be treated as well. Here at TMCS, we have many mentors. You'll see some of the mentors who are on the roster for this term 2022-23. We have mentors who come from all backgrounds, mentors who have who have very different specialties and strengths. And so the best way to figure out who's the right mentor for you is to speak to Jyoti, share your goals, and she can help you with suggesting some of the mentors that might be the best fit for you. Okay, let's get into the educational program. In this section, I'll talk about pathways. We'll talk about Basecamp, and I'll show you a live demo of how to use Basecamp. Also, some resources that will be helpful to you. And finally, we'll end off talking about how you can get prepared for your first speech, which is called the Icebreaker. So, pathways. What are pathways? Pathways are Toastmasters' educational program. There are 11 pathways, and you'll see them here on the screen, depending on the goals that you're trying to achieve here at Toastmasters. So for example, if you're looking to be a better motivational speaker, you might want to consider the motivational strategies pathway. If you're looking to you're learning to be a better presenter, maybe presentation mastery, which is a very popular pathway for many new beginners. Also, if you're looking for more using Toastmaster skills in leadership roles, maybe dynamic leadership. So as you can see, many different goals. The best way to figure out the right pathways for you is to go to the pathway selector. And when we come to the demo, I'll show you how you can get to that pathway selector. It's a short quiz that you can take on the website, and coming out of that, several options for the pathways will be suggested to you, and you can pick one. Now, my advice is don't think too long about pathways. You'll find that there's a lot of commonalities across all the 11 pathways. There's no one right pathway, and choosing one pathway that is not 100% right is not going to be the end of your Toastmasters career. So just go ahead, pick one, get started, and as you go along, if you find that there's a pathway that you are more interested in, that's fine. Finish the one you're on and then start a second pathway. Okay, so before we go into the demo, let me just talk a little bit about pathways. So all the pathways have 5 levels of mastery and a total of 16 projects, because in each level you have between 3 to 5 projects to complete. Now, level 1 for all 5 pathways has the same projects, and it comprises of 5 speeches and 1 evaluation. And these are the speeches. Typically, we suggest that you do them in this order. So start with your icebreaker speech. That's the first speech that you do that introduces you to the club. And then you do a special 3-part project called evaluation and feedback and evaluation. Now, this is a very special project because what happens is you'll first do a speech on any topic and present that at a club. You will then get feedback on that speech in that meeting. Take that feedback and then use it to improve the same speech. And then at another meeting, come back and do the improved speech or the revised speech. And that's part 2 of this project. And finally, part 3 of this project, you're going to evaluate someone else's speech. So in this project, there are 3 parts. You do a speech, you get feedback, and then you revise it to do a second speech. And then you will evaluate someone else's project. So this is a 3-part project called evaluation and feedback. Then you have 2 other projects. One is called writing a speech with purpose, and the last one is called Introduction to Vocal Variety and Body Language. So all in order to complete level 1 of any pathway, you have to do these projects: Icebreaker, Evaluation and Feedback, Writing a Speech with Purpose, Introduction to Vocal Variety and Body Language. Okay, now how to get started. And I'll show you a demo in a while. And how to get started, you log into Basecamp and you get started on any module. And after your project, after your speech, you actually have to log back in to complete the same module so that it's checked off as completed in the system. And when you've finished all the projects for that level, you can then submit the level completion request to your VPE. I'll show you a demo in a while. Here's a demo on how to use Basecamp, which is where you'll find the pathways materials. So go to toastmasters.org, which is the website for Toastmasters International. Log in with the username and password that you'll get in an email from toastmasters.org. Then next, go to Education Programs. You can see it highlighted here on the screen. And under Education Programs, you will then see the option for going to Basecamp. So if you're already logged in, as you see I am, just click on Go to Basecamp. And now the first thing I'd like to point out is you can then use the pathway selector. So you'll see this thing on the left, which is continue to path selection. If you have not chosen your path, click on that. And it will ask you various questions. And in order to use the pathway selector, come to this box called Take an Online Assessment. And it will then ask you various questions relating to the goals that you want. You can pick several goals, and then it will ask you many other questions. And at the end of this, it will suggest 3 paths that will be appropriate for you, and you can go ahead and select that path. So that's the pathway selector. Okay. Now I'll go back to how, after you've selected your path, how you would then access the pathways learning material. The second box is called Access My Path through Basecamp. And you'll see this, Go to Basecamp. So click on Go to Basecamp. And you will then see this come up. Click on the first box, which is Path and Learning. And you'll see the paths that you have selected. In this case, I'll go with the dynamic leadership path, which is the path that I have selected. So you go with that, you click on Open Curriculum, and you will now see this screen, which shows you on the left-hand side, the 5 levels of that path. Okay. Now, if I go into level 1, this is what you'll see on the screen. You'll see the projects that you have to do. So you have the Icebreaker speech, you have the evaluation and feedback speech, the writing a speech with purpose, and then the introduction to vocal variety and body language speech. So these are the projects that have to be done for you to complete level 1. So let's go ahead and see what you can expect when you click into any project. So let's start with Icebreaker. So you click on that, and this, if you've done corporate learning modules before at work, you'll be quite familiar with this that you'll see on the screen. So it's basically a slideshow-based training program, which includes various videos as well as other learning materials. Each module is typically quite short. You can complete it in about 15-20 minutes. It's meant to be a high-level overview of the project and give you some materials to get started. Okay, so let's look here. Apologize, this actually is at the beginning. So when you first come in, you'll see this, learn about your project. You can watch the video there. You can then go into various videos and just click through all the pages until you come to just click through all the pages. As I mentioned, there are videos, there's all kinds of things. You can even download what the project objectives are. So just click through all that. You have you'll be asked to assess your skills relating to the project. And this is a before, because you'll come back after your project to then assess your skills after. Okay, so just go through this, very intuitive. What will happen is you'll complete out of this the first 3 parts of the module. And at the end of it, you'll come to this screen, which will say, okay, you're now ready to do your project. It will have the evaluation resource. It will have an outline for the speech that you can use to create to write your speech. And then you have this thing, evaluation resource. So here you can see the evaluation resource. And for every project, you'll have this. This is the form that you'll print out or you will send digitally to your evaluator for that project. And then he or she will fill it in and give you feedback on what you did well, so what you excelled in, some areas that you might want to work on, as well as some other suggestions that they might have, and they'll grade you according to the various elements of a good speech, such as how clear you were, whether you used vocal variety, meaning did you use different tones, different speeds, different volume of speaking, eye contact, and so on. So you get this evaluation form from your evaluator after every project. Okay, so once you've got to this stage, you can stop here and you can start doing, and then you can start working on your project. Then you go ahead, you book your project or your speaking slot, you do your project, and then after your project, you want to come back in, click back into the same project And now go to the last part called complete your project. So you can see where I went. Come back into this project, click on the menu bar, and then go to the last part called complete your project. And here you'll be asked various questions. And only when you finish this, then it counts as the project is completed. So you must log back into Basecamp to finish your project. And when you have finished your project, you get that little tick, as you can see here, for this project. So once you get the tick and you get all the ticks for that level, you've completed that, and then you can submit your level completion request. A little button will come up here and you can submit it to the VPE to confirm that you have done that, and then you can progress to the next level. So within a level, you can do the speeches in any order, especially at the higher levels, you can do them in any order, but just note that you have to finish the projects at that level before you move on to the projects at the next level. Okay, and so that's what Basecamp looks like with all the projects. Okay, I would like to share with you a tool that we created here at TMCS. It's called the Pathway Tracker. So this is created by the club. It's not a TI tool. And you can see here the link for the tool as well as the QR code. You can scan that QR code and you can download this Pathway Tracker. Now, what this Pathway Tracker is, it's a convenient way for you to track the requirements of each pathway, because as you can see, you have to do 16 projects over 5 levels and it becomes quite complicated. So I'll share, so you can go ahead and scan that code or click on that link and download the file to your computer, and I will show you what this is all about. Okay. Oops. Okay, so here is the Pathways Tracker. It is an Excel-based file. And what you want to do is use this Pathway Tracker to have a quick overview of all the projects for your chosen pathway. It's also a quick way for you to access the evaluation forms without having to log into Basecamp. And finally, you can track your own record of your projects as you do that, because for most people it takes about 12 to 18 months to complete a pathway, so it's a very long time. So it's good to have a record of when you did those speeches. So let me give you an example of how you use that. So for example, I was on the dynamic leadership path, which is DL. So I would go to the DL tab, and here you can see all the projects that are under the DL path. Now you notice that some of them are required projects. So the level 1 projects, the 4 that we talked about, Icebreaker, Evaluation Feedback Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, as well as Writing a Speech with Purpose and Introduction to Vocal Variety. These are all required projects. Now, later on in the higher levels after level 3, you'll also have elective projects where you just have to choose 2 out of the many options there, and this is where you have a choice on what they are. So this is a good tool for you to just come and take a look at what that project is about, what the objective for that project is. This will also tell you what the different formats of the project is. Most of the projects will be speeches, prepared speeches, between 5 to 7 minutes in length. Icebreaker is slightly shorter, it's 4 to 6 minutes, but for most of the other speeches will be 5 to 7 minutes in length. However, there are also speeches that are unique. So for example, a level 3 project called Active Listening. The project is actually just leading table topics. So it's not a speech, you just have to lead table topics. You also have projects where you have to keep a journal and then report back on that, or you have to attend an event and then report back on that, or you might have to lead an interview or a podcast or a roundtable discussion. So there are many different types of projects where you can practice your public speaking skills. And this gives you a quick way to look and see what the different projects involve. Then you can also get the evaluation forms here. So without logging into Basecamp, you just come here, click on this, and it will open up the form that you can then download and print out, or download and send to your evaluator. Okay. And finally, here in the shaded cells, you can write down your notes. So you can write down what date you plan to do that. That way you can plan ahead, because it does take a while to plan your speeches. So plan ahead to when you're going to do that, when's the date you actually did that, what club you did it at, because you can do it both at TMCS as your home club, as well as other clubs. So whatever club you did it at, you can just make a record of that, especially if it's not TMCS. You can give yourself some notes on what the title was of the speech. You can even write down some of the feedback that you got, as well as who was the person who evaluated you. So keep this as your own notepad, keeping track of the projects that you've done or the projects that you plan to do, as well as having an overview of what are some of the types of projects that you can do within that. So that is the pathway tracker that you can download from the link shared just now. Okay, now I'd like to share with you one other system that you need to get familiar with, and that is how you go about booking your speech slots here at TMCS. So here at TMCS, we use a software called SuperSaas. You will get a link to SuperSaas in your email, and this will come from toastmasters.org.sg. So it's from the club, not from Toastmasters International. And there's also a link to the website. If you go to our club website, which is toastmasters.org.sg, and there's a link here called Book Your Slots that will take you to SuperSaas. Okay, once you come to SuperSaas, you'll see the screen, enter your email as well as your password, and you'll be taken to this screen, which shows all the upcoming meetings, as well as how many speaking slots are available. And you'll notice that some meetings do not have speaking slots. These are typically meetings which are either workshops or have social events planned, such as a Halloween party or a Christmas Eve party, or in some cases, contests. So other than that, all our chapter meetings will have speaking slots. So an example here, our next meeting on the 7th of November, we will have 4 slots available, and 6 out of 4 means that there are 4 slots available, and currently there's 6 people who have signed up to do speeches. So let's take a look at what this looks like. So click into that, and you will see the people who have signed up to do speeches for that. Because there are 4 slots, only the first 4 are confirmed, and the next 2 will have a W next to their name, which is waitlist. If any of the confirmed speakers drop out, the waitlisted person will then be automatically given a confirmed slot. Now, we typically do have people dropping, 1 or 2 members dropping out per meeting at the last minute due to work obligations or various other reasons. So if you are ready with your speech, go ahead and put yourself on the wait list, and that way we know that you're ready to do a speech if needed. And you'll see that we have the speeches typically for the next 2 or 3 months listed out, so you'll be able to find a slot for your next speech. Just to note, you can only have 1 booking at a time, and a booking is either a confirmed slot or a waitlisted slot. So you can't book your next 3 speeches. You can only book your next 1 speech. But the moment the date for that speech has passed and you've done your speech, you can come right back into the system and book your next speech slot. Okay, so you can go ahead and book your speech slots. Again, you can only have 1 speech slot at a time. The link again is SuperSaas. And you will have a link to that in your email, or you can find that link on our website. Okay, so just to recap some of the live demos that we just did, we went through a live demo on how to access Basecamp, and you access that through the Toastmasters.org website by going to the education drop down, and then from there entering into Basecamp, and from Basecamp you can find the training material as well as a mark that you've completed various projects and then various levels. The next thing that we did was we shared the pathway tracker Excel spreadsheet, and you'll see there the you'll see there the QR code that you can click to get access to the file, and do download it. Don't make changes right into the file. Download it to your computer first, and then you can use that Excel file. And the third thing that we did was to go over how you book your speech slots on SuperSaas. Again, you have a QR code there that you can use, or the easiest way is to look in your email for that link, or you can go to our homepage and then find a link for booking your speech slots. So with that, let's just go over getting started on your icebreaker. So the icebreaker is the first speech that you'll do here at Toastmasters. The first thing you want to do is book your speech slot. You can either do that through SuperSaas, or if you're not familiar and you need some help, just contact the VPEs and they can help you with booking the speech slot. The second thing you want to do is log into Basecamp and launch the icebreaker module and do that. And then you want to start thinking of ideas for your speech. Now, it's just a very short speech. It's 4 to 6 minutes. So we really don't have time to hear your life story. And don't worry, there'll be many opportunities for you to tell your life story later on in your various speeches. But for your icebreaker, just think of 1 or 2 things that you'd like us to know about you. For example, you can share your hobby. You can share where you were born. You can share an interesting incident. You can share something that has had a huge impact on you. So just one or 2 simple things around which you can craft a short speech. Now, you want to then write your speech. 4 to 6 minutes is typically around 500 to 600 words, roughly about a page to page and a half on A4 if you're typing it out. So it's not very long at all. Then you want to meet with your mentor or any other experienced Toastmaster and get feedback from him or her, and practice, practice, practice. Now, 1 week before your speech, you'll be added to a speaker's WhatsApp group, and that's where the VPE who's coordinating the meeting will ask you for more information relating to your speech, as well as to confirm that you will go ahead with your speech slot. If you don't need it, if something else has come up, please give it up so that someone else can get that speech slot. And then on the day itself, remember to download the evaluation form, print it out, and give it to your evaluator. That we typically, if it's a physical meeting at Sheraton Towers, we will give the printed evaluation form. If it's an online meeting, you can sometimes just email or WhatsApp the form over to your evaluator. But if it's a physical meeting, please do print it out because it's easier for them to write their comments. Okay, one more tool that I'd like to share with you is called the skills checklist. And this again was created by the club. This is a list of 12 core skills that for new Toastmasters you want to work on. And think of this as Lego blocks. And with these Lego blocks, if you have these Lego blocks, you can then build any speech, a funny speech, an inspiring speech, a table topics. But these are the core skills that you need to have. Now, when we start off, nobody is great at all these skills. That's why we're here in Toastmasters. So don't feel embarrassed. We all start at different places, but we all have something to learn. So I would suggest going ahead, download this checklist, do an assessment on yourself now. Where do you stand? So if some of these sound completely alien to you, then you're probably at level 1 or 2, right? Which is the lowest level. If some of these you go like, oh, I'm great at using humor, then okay, fine, mark it as 4 or 5. You're great at using visual aids such as PowerPoint slides or props, then mark it at 4 or 5. And wherever you are, what you want to do is you then pick one skill that you want to work on, meet with your mentor, and say, hey, I would really like to work on this skill, and make sure that you're using and practicing that skill in your next speech. Same thing before your speech, mention that to your evaluator. Hey, today I'm really working on this skill. For example, I'm really opening on whether I have a good speech structure with a clear opening, body, and close of the speech. And that way your evaluator knows what to look out for and can give you feedback very specific to that skill. So there you have it. You have the skills checklist. Again, download that and use that and come back to it frequently to assess where you are. Now, for those of us who want to do more than the basic material given to us in Basecamp, here are some useful books and digital courses that I personally recommend. I have used this and I found that it's really accelerated my learning. So, your books, and a lot of these are available on Kindle. They are not pricey. They're around $10. If you have more time and you're more dedicated and serious about learning, I also highly suggest buying some of these digital courses. They're a little bit more expensive, but they are worth their weight in gold, and they will help you grow so much faster than you can by making mistakes on your own slowly. So definitely invest the time upfront to learn this, and that way you get the most out of your Toastmasters journey. I'd also like to mention that outside of TMCS, so you'll be added to the TMCS chat groups where you get information about the club and our meetings and social events. But outside of the club, There are also chat groups that connect you to the broader Toastmasters community. And you'll see some of those here on the screen. Go ahead and pick one or two that you like, and you can join these WhatsApp groups. And it's a great way to learn about club meetings outside of TMCS. So the more meetings you attend, the more workshops you attend, the more clubs that you speak at, because many clubs will open speaking slots to guest Toastmasters as well. The more you speak or take up appointment holder roles, such as evaluators or table topics masters at these different clubs, the faster you will grow. So these are chat groups that you can connect with and go attend meetings outside of TMCS. Okay, finally, anything that you need help with, you can reach out to the VPs of education. You see them there. Anything related to education, you can reach out to any of them. Once you have a mentor, you can reach out to your mentor for questions relating to your speech or any educational goals you have. Anything related to membership questions, you can reach out to our VP of membership. If it's too difficult to remember, you are on the new member chat group, just feel free to post your questions there, and our Exco members will get back to you with anything that you need help on. So with that, that is the current Exco for the term 22-23. We're all here to help. Please do reach out whenever if you have any questions at all. And with that, you are ready for takeoff. Thank you so much, and hopefully you found value in this onboarding session. And again, anything that we can do to help, please do reach out for us. Congratulations and welcome on board.